want him to. And so Dern not only stays in the thing, he helps Gardner put in the bars.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
So
I was just gonna put some salt around my area to keep the demonic forces in my household out. Mainly my wife and kids.
Good idea.
Or to keep them in.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
That's it. Exactly.
Too late. They're there.
Yeah.
Mystic Blue says, "Do you create cartoons and comic books?" So yeah, very. If you ask Jack Kirby, we're all cartoonists.
Yeah. Which is not offensive in the least.
No. I got that wrong when I was younger, thinking it was, but it isn't. Mm-hmm. Not at all. Yeah. It's an art form, and as such, should be treated with respect.
Mystic Blue also asks, "What are you up to? I've never seen this."
Oh well.
He's also watching from Twitch, so.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Mystic Blue. We're happy to have you on Twitch. This is another episode of the Sunday Funnies. We're all comic book people. We're here to talk comics and to hopefully talk about the fun and the more whimsical side of comics. So it is the Sunday Funnies. There we are.
So this is what I'm working on. I'm working.
Show that again, Brian.
Okay, here we go. This is Captain America,
right there.
Of course,
you can tell
that's primo work
because it's got an eye on it.
Thank you very much. I
like the
appreciate
wings.
that.
I like the wings.
Mm-hmm. It's the little touches that make the illustration,
Yes, it is. Yes.
Right. So this is a page from Tall Tales, issue 6, Tears of the Mother, that I'm working on. I've been working a little too long on this issue, so I'm really gunning to get this done this month finally.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh, thank you. Uh-huh.
And Russ has decided to hide, so he doesn't have any work.
Yeah. Russ is like, I don't have anything to prove. I don't have to show off my work.
All his best work is behind NDA. That's what it is.
Yeah, there we go.
Uh-huh.
Mike Jimmy says, nailed it. Brian Mystic Blue says, I paint. Awesome, Mystic Blue.
Cool.
Happy to have you aboard. Happy you're here.
I was doing a sketch cover.
Thank you.
Oh, you doing a sketch?
I was doing a sketch cover this morning.
Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
It's War Machine.
War Machine sketch cover.
Nice.
And I'm doing something for a non-comic book client at the moment.
It's a grand homage to a Bob Layton cover.
Yeah, yes, it is. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
When you say it's a sketch cover, so are you going to transfer that onto an actual?
It's already transferred onto the cover. Yeah. So and then tomorrow, actually, I think I might actually start doing some live streaming on a Monday night. Tomorrow I'm going to ink it, and then it will get sent off. So yeah.
Well, Monday night would be our Monday afternoon.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. We did a convention. Randy did a convention. I was hanging around him and bogarting in. I just like to hang out with Randy at cons. That's all. I sit at the table with him and pester him. But
he knows he loves it for the peace and quiet. Actually,
but it was cool because Bob Layton was there. He was across from us. Oh. And I told Lola, I said, "Why she piss Randy off?" And I looked at Randy and said, "Who's Bob Layton?" Oh. And he said, "What? What?" No, I'm joking. I know.
Get out.
I had to do the reason I got that thing is that commission is because somebody saw the War Machine I did for Draw the Marvel Way. And I posted that up, and actually Kevin Hopgood came on and said that's a really good War Machine. So then he's the creator of War Machine. Mm-hmm. So I was really pleased with that. So
there you go. Yeah,
got a follow from Kev for that. That was nice.
Yay.
We're gonna run the opening and then get into introductions. So
sure.
Hold on, everybody. Here's our opening. Whoever's out there, get ready for that copyright strike. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Oh, I just got the notification from Chrome that we are officially live. How do you like that? 10 minutes into the broadcast.
Very good.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening in or viewing in this morning. This is another episode of the Sunday Funnies for the 9th of May, 2021. Happy to have you here. We're here to talk about the more lighthearted, hopefully, and the more whimsical side of comics. We might have a few more people join us as we go along, depending upon who wakes up and sees that I actually sent them a link and an invitation this morning. And we're happy to have you here. Here in the States, this is Mother's Day. Is it Mother's Day where you are, Russ?
No.
Okay.
I think yours was like a couple of weeks ago, right?
You don't.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say you don't have to have a day to remind you of your mother.
No,
Yes.
you shouldn't. No, you should be reminded of your mother every day.
I am. Yes.
There was. I'd see if I can find it for later on. There was a great. Post by Gad Sad. I think he's a psychologist or something. Very, very based. And it was talking about it was a cryptic Mother's Day message, but I'll have to find it for you. So I can't find it at the moment. I'm just whizzing through Facebook to see where it was and being disturbed by all the pictures that are on the walls.
Now, when you say cryptic, you don't mean like we have to uncode it like the Zodiac Killer letters, right? You just mean he's just subtweeting somebody.
No, cryptic as in if you've got a few brain cells in your head, you'll understand what it means.
Right.
You know, I have a great appreciation for my mother, as evidenced by my fear and respect for my wife's anger.
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
Yeah, I'm constantly thinking like, she won't do it. She won't do it. Man, as I got this lump the first time, I'm gonna.
But that's right. I mean, my dad was like 6'2", and my mum was 5'1", and I was scared shitless of my mother. So the only reason she didn't hit me with an iron was because it was plugged in.
We should start the program by reminding everybody we are TVMA DLSV.
Mm-hmm.
The M stands for moms.
Yes, the M stands for moms. You might hear words that you might not want your kids to hear during this broadcast, but they probably have already heard numerous times if they have cable. So.
Right. That's for sure.
So
yeah.
good. I am your host, Randy Zimmerman. I've been a long-time independent and alternative comics creator, publisher, done everything that you can imagine in the comic market and then some, and now part of the Indie Volt radio network. And right now, I'm also resurrecting Arrow Comics, which is a independent comic company that began way back in the mid-'80s and has a long reputation for creator self-ownership and independence. And we're bringing back Arrow Comics starting in August with 4 titles. There'll be a lot of fun. If you want more information on that, do go over to the Arrow Comics 4.0 page on Facebook for more information. We're going to be printing a lot of things and having a lot of fun. Also, right now, Arrow Comics has a crowdfunding campaign going on over on Indiegogo for the Indie Volt Revolt sequential art collection, which a lot of the guests here on Indie Volt have been contributors to. It's a collection of great short stories in multiple genres using multiple techniques, a real portfolio showpiece of the work that a lot of the talent that you hear or see here on Indie Volt have done. And we invite you to go over there and back that if you can. It's a $20 book. Right now, it's looking at over 130 pages thick of black and white comic goodness with 2 sets of wraparound covers. It's going to be a flip book with 2 front covers on the book. You go in one side, at least 65 pages. Then you'll turn it over for another cover, and you'll go in again, another 65 pages at least. And of all, great comic goodness. So go over there and take a look. I'm joined today also by Mr. Varian Grant. Varian, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Varian Grant. I'm the founder of Indie Volt Media, LLC. In another life, I was known as Little Starter Pistol, head of the Mont Dog Street Gang, where I just bust caps off of spray cans. We had a really bad gang. We actually did stuff for the community, like rake leaves and and we covered up graffiti. Our clubhouse was inside of the back of a McCory's 5 and Dime, or we'd have patty melts and milkshakes. But
How wholesome.
A real roughneck gang then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. We didn't take no guff.
Top notch OGs.
Mm-hmm. We did drive by food can.
Food can pickups. Yeah.
Help the homeless.
Just that awesome, notorious things that all gangs are known for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was tough life, man. Tough life. I survived the streets. Yeah. But now I be making comics. Yeah. So there.
Now you're like Godfather level.
Yeah.
Hooliganism.
Yeah.
There we are. And now you own
Comics.
the Indie Volt Media empire.
Yeah. They're trying to take me from me too, but I won't let them.
See what can happen when you do enough food can drives, kids. You can own your own media empire.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And you might need those food cans one day.
And you're in Sterling Heights, down in as a suburb of Detroit, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm coming to you just from Burton, Michigan, just south of Flint, the wonderful water city.
And I joke about this, but no lie, I can actually walk to. If I leave at my house now, I can probably get to Eminem's current residence in about 20 minutes.
I like M&Ms.
Yeah.
We didn't have M&Ms when I was a kid. We just had W's and W's.
Oh no.
There you go. Yeah.
I didn't have M&Ms when I was a kid either. We had Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5.
Oh no.
That's. They didn't even have chocolate.
Thanks for the earworm.
There you go.
M has a restraining order on me, by the way.
Also co-hosting today from the great city of New York is
that's
one of those suburbs.
Who what?
Daphne Lage and her parrot. Daphne.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's not your smoke detector going off if you hear anything in the background. So hello everybody, my name is Daphne Lage and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, so I kind of sort of know what I'm talking about. I am known for my funny animal fantasy Tall Tales, which I'm currently working on the next issue right now, and also I'm also known for my medieval fantasy drama Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, now funding on Kickstarter. And I just want to thank everybody for really pushing this campaign forward. We got 24 days to go, and I actually got to make up new stretchables because we're blowing past everything I have right now. So thank you very much for that. So you can read both my comics at talltalesonline.com, TIILS, and egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. And you can also watch my videos on how I make these comics on YouTube at Daphne Lage, LAGE Art.
It's what we call happy problems.
Yeah, really.
Also joining us in what could probably be a co-hosting spot. I mean, he's been here enough. Is Mr. Russ Leach. Russ.
Oh, do they mean me? They surely do.
I just like interrupting your workflow. That's all.
I often loiter on the edges of Indie Vault. You can find me at on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. My camera's over here. Sorry, I'm playing with my cameras at the moment.
Don't play with your camera.
You can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt, and on the channel you can see the way that I produce my books. When I'm not there and not shouting at cars, you can find me on russleach.com or comicbookblackbelt.com. Also on the Twitter and the Fleecebook. I am around on most social medias. And you can find me also at onlydeathcansavus.com, which is my book, Only Death Can Save Us. It's currently still in demand, so you can pick up an original copy of the first print of the book. and you will also be able to see it in larger distribution via Arrow Comics later in the year. You can also pick me up on a Thursday with Joe Fulton on Fulton Land. We're currently producing another Bronze Age inspired comic book called The Outliers. And if I get my act together, you'll be able to see me on a Monday afternoon / evening with some live streaming.
And it is mid-afternoon where you are.
Yeah, it is. I've just gotten up.
You've just gotten up.
I just got up.
Well,
It's the life of an artist.
Yeah.
Artist hours. Oh yeah.
Keep waking up at the crack of noon. Yeah, I
yeah, pretty
understand.
much. Yeah.
Also
What do you mean
joining us
daylight?
today, we have the pleasure of the company of Mr. Brian K. Morris from Rising Tide Publications. Brian, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate being here, being with you wonderful people. And thank you, Varian, for those cans of food in my youth. They were greatly appreciated. You didn't have to throw them through my picture window. That's the only thing. But anyway, no, I'm Brian K. Morris, independent publisher, freelance hybrid author, Facebook famous broadcaster. 5 days a week, I have my own network that is a pale imitation, of course, of Indie Volt, but we do our best. And also former mortician's assistant. And I do a lot of broadcasting, do a lot of writing. Just turned in a comic book script for somebody this week. I was very happy with myself. Yay! Awesome. And it turned out well. I was happy. I might even read that thing when it comes out. But anyway. I appreciate being here, and I also hold the distinction of this panel of being the only person that's not in it anymore. Anyway, back to you, Randy.
If you'd have asked nicely, I'd have put you in there.
If I had known, I would have probably thrown gravel on at your feet and knelt before you and pled to be in this book. But I am a supporter though of the Indiegogo campaign. So kids, definitely go to that website, go to Indiegogo, and definitely give this book some love, because the more you contribute, the more pages everyone gets to read of some really great stuff. And I'm a fan of Arrow back in the day, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what the rest of you do. So anyway, it'll be great.
There'll probably most likely be a second one or a
I
variation.
hope so. I'm already developing my pleas.
No, there's not going to be a volume 2?
No, there's not.
Okay.
And
pass
also,
this up, Brandy, pass this up. Okay,
there you are.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, I printed Matt Fazell in Flint Comics for many years. He is a genius with stick figures.
He really is. I am not.
Don't demean your work.
I know my place.
You might be able to get copies of Revolt from Tomorrow Distribution. Just saying.
That's a running gag here, Brian.
Okay.
You really want to go to Liberty Distribution.
And who wouldn't, Daphne?
Everybody needs to go to Liberty.
Yeah.
I'll open a comic shop just so I can deal with Liberty Distribution.
That's right.
There you are.
That's the attitude. Well done.
Our campaign is currently at 58 backers. Once we hit 75, we will be adding more pages to that book. And we only have 6 days left to go.
Wow,
so this is the last Sunday Funnies. You will have to look at the Indie Revolt campaign, because like the bird said, this is it. Once those 6 days are up, I am closing that account out. We're taking those numbers and getting them printed pretty close to order. I have about 90% of the print file already done and ready to go. And barring any last minute additions that we have to wait on, it'll be going immediately to print and immediately towards your home. Yeah. Because then Arrow Comics has August to look forward to, with a set of great titles that we'll be coming out with. And we'll make more announcements on that probably here next week. So we might actually talk about what we've got planned in September, which is more books than what we've already announced.
It's going to be a busy year for everybody.
It's going to be fun. Absolute fun. We'll look at the everybody's campaign here in a minute. But Varian, what are our radio numbers? Do we have any radio numbers?
You have to know them. It costs you $5.
Okay, here we go.
And a can of beans.
And a can of beans.
Yeah. People out here trying to eat, yo. Yeah. Yeah, right now we're at 37,881.
Everyone's still waking up.
Everyone's still waking up. Well, plus it's Mother's Day, so a lot of people are sleeping in.
Is that thing from Gad Sad? So he's we won't talk too much about this because then we get ourselves in a hot water. But he's an evolutionary psychologist. So being as based as he is, his message is on behalf of all testicle carrying non-birthers. Happy Birthers Day to all cervix operating birthers. May all non-arboreal multicellular carbon-based agents of inclusion enjoy the special birthing day. So that covers everybody.
Warms
I think.
my heart.
Warms everybody's heart on this special day.
Yeah, man, it's beautiful.
But we're supposed to be here talking about comics.
Yeah, I actually have something to say about comics, by the way. Lighthearted comics.
Sure.
So here's the thing. My son is doing a project on Stan Lee. He has to dress up for Stan Lee and read to the class. He has to talk about his own death too, which is weird. Yeah. Like I died on November 12th.
I remember doing that. Yeah.
And I'm like, he's gonna have to say, I died on November 12th. I tell him, don't tell him that your dad was in the hospital and cried. I was in the hospital already. I didn't go to the hospital because Stan died. Anyway, but he says, he's like, Dad, I think the more realistic the art in a comic becomes, the less fun it is. And
you are dad of the year.
Go to your room.
Yes.
Put your arm around him and say, someday you will be a man.
The child doth speak the truth.
Yeah.
I looked at him and I said, get out. Get out. Your dad draws in that realistic style, and you've been eating my food. I want you to go to the toilet right now and throw it up. You don't deserve it. I'll be eating these Twinkies that are yours. But I was wondering, what did you guys think about that? I mean, the more realistic the art, the less fun the comic is. And this is a kid who's a big fan of was it Dave Pilkey, the Captain Underpants and Dog Man, and now Cat Kid.
Which is it's a weird thing to say because usually I find it the opposite. That's like the more realistic an art style is, the more kind of like stoic and somber and it is. It's like I don't know. I would think that cartoony type of work, or at least like less realistic, would allow for more of the imagination to flow from it. So
it depends what you call realistic.
Yeah,
that too.
Yeah. It depends what you mean by realistic work. I mean, if you were to, I don't know, if you were to call somebody like Jim Lee realistic, you'd be wrong, wouldn't you?
Right. Well, technically, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Jim Lee has got an amazingly, still, it's even after 25 years, it's still a very current style. He's very popular. He tells a great story. His anatomy, for the most part, is pretty good. I believe he used to be a doctor, so he does understand. I think that's what he was taught to be.
Yeah,
he studied
anatomy. Yeah,
so he knows his way about anatomy, but he stretches it, he plays with it, he makes it work. And actually, if you have a good look at a Jim Lee book, it doesn't look realistic at all. So it depends what you mean by realistic. Yeah, it depends how far you go down that descriptor.
Yeah, because it's like, because there's because it's not just comics. It's like I remember when they were restoring the Sistine Chapel, and there was this huge controversy after, like they cleaned up a good part of it and found out that all these bright colors were used. And people freaked out. It's like, oh, it looks like a cartoon, with all bright colors. But those were the colors that he meant to use. So like all of a sudden it's like, it's like the dirt and the soot that everyone was so used to looking at, I guess gave them like one certain idea about what they were looking at. But then when it was restored to the artist's actual vision, now it's like, oh, we can't take this seriously. Look at all these bright colors. And I don't know where that comes from.
But it shows that it's being seen through the bias of current culture and the way that you understand things, the way that you perceive things. So and that word cartoon that's just come up again. The word cartoon is an old word.
Yeah, it is.
And was applied actually to base drawings for masters artwork. So it wasn't in any way less than the artwork. It was simply a more simpler way of putting the thing together to portray the same outcome, and then it was just from there they would use them to then apply their artistic abilities with paint or whatever. But cartoon is a serious word, so it shouldn't be looked down upon. And I say again, exactly with what you're saying is what is realistic. What is realistic?
I mean, honestly, and honestly, can you really look at the Sistine Chapel and go, "Oh, wow, this is so realistic"? Like even the Sistine Chapel is not realistic.
No, exactly. So even though the anatomy may be beautiful and the way that the techniques of texture close to photorealism from a distance, at least. You put it all together and it's not realistic, is it? It's bonkers. And it's just the way that people perceived the world or the universe back then. So that's tricky. I think the whole question is tricky.
Yeah.
What do you think, Varian?
Oh man, see, you gotta put you on the spot. I do.
It's your child.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's justify your parenting here.
I don't know. There are days where I wonder. Away, child, away.
Away, child, away.
Yeah. I kind of understand what he's saying. I mean, you put I remember being upset. I picked up a comic that was drawn in a very like cartoony manner, almost kind of like, almost kind of like Casper. This is a very cartoony, whimsical fashion, and it didn't like, it was super serious. The subject matter was serious, and it took me for a loop. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what am I reading? Are they really doing this in this comic? And the thing is, it got my attention. I couldn't put it down because the characters looked silly, but the subject matter was pretty serious.
Was it a Chris Ware book? Because it's like, Chris Ware is kind of like the master of that, like super cartoony styles, not even camouflaging a super depressive story.
It may have been. I can't remember the name of the book, but I got it from the library. And I remember reading it and thinking, I gotta take this back. It's depressing. My soul can't take this. But my son also he enjoys his very cartoony style. A very thin line. That I'm gonna say it, Daphne.
Go ahead. Say it.
Cal arts.
Right. Yeah. Which is not the correct term for it.
Too late.
Too late.
Yeah. Already been branded.
This is how language changes.
Yeah.
Steven's universe fuck up is just too long.
Yeah.
So cut that down to Cal art.
Considering that nobody on Steven Universe even went to Cal art. Good luck with that.
I think it's also, what it applies to. There are some styles that work. Like that style did not work for Thundercats.
Right, yeah.
But there was nothing wrong.
Doesn't work for almost anything.
It didn't,
well,
but
if you're making
in all fairness,
for babies, it works.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the context.
It can work. It shouldn't.
It wouldn't work.
It's not the only thing that works, but it can work. But it's it's when your darling offspring talks about realism, does he mean it from a perspective of? So, for instance, if you're looking at something like Captain Underpants, that's not just away from realism. there's something that kind of illustration has an energy and a fun to it that may be something like, I don't know, that, for instance, if Brian Bolland was to draw it, you wouldn't have the same fun.
Right.
And you would say that Brian Bolland is maybe more realistic.
Right.
But actually, if you look at Brian Bolland's work, if you look at any of us as comic book artists, there's very few people that try and hit almost photorealism.
When
you know what I
Arthur
mean?
Adams did Gumby. Yeah, it's like talk about it's like is it realistic or is it cartoony?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I think when he says realistic, he means, Mike Turner. I think he means Jim Lee. I think he means,
which again, the definition of realism is
Dan DiCarlo.
But I think also if you define fun, okay, like he's talking from his perspective, being his age, and you're seeing it from your age and me from my age, okay, and we all see a different definition. That's the thing. So I personally think that if you're going to have a darker tone, then maybe a more realistic style is appropriate. But as an adult, I can find that fun because of the way that I perceive the story. Whereas if I was going to draw something for an all ages, I wouldn't go that dark, gritty route. And that would maybe equate to more fun for somebody who's looking at it as from a younger age perspective.
Let me see here. Hold on 1 second.
Because we all know that nothing gets more realistic than Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa.
There we go.
See, that is more fun than the original Mona Lisa.
Yeah. I think I took that one to prom. Imperium said we should show this.
Scares up some old dating.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember this chart.
Yeah.
Imperium said we should show the Macabre pyramid. Explains everything.
Yeah.
Well, it's a convenient way of putting things. Yes.
Yeah.
See, I'm down there in that sort of around 60. There you go. The vision on 85. Is that's kind of I can straight away look at that chart there and pinpoint the place that I like to be at.
I'm hanging out with Omaha right there.
Yeah.
I think it's over the O. Yeah, right there.
I'd like to be at that 20 of that Batman there. That'd be kind of cool.
I just find the chart amazing that he finds ElfQuest more cartoony than Omaha. I mean, if I'm reading this chart correctly.
Well, and again, you have to remember this is McLeod's opinion. So.
Yeah. I just find that funny. It's like, really?
But it does. It is a point. You can argue about semantics all you want about placement, but the point he's showing here is the range between cartoony and realistic, or quote realistic unquote. Because I've seen some stuff from Robert Crumb that looks pretty damn realistic.
Right. Yeah.
And I've seen other stuff from Crumb that is just on the far end of crazy cartoony.
Right.
And then how far do you go? Because I think maybe 90% of the time I can spot if people are tracing.
Yeah. I agree.
And that may look ultra realistic, but it doesn't mean that it makes the story flow from a pure comic book perspective. It doesn't mean that you have a better presentation of a story by having traced ultra realistic panels.
Greg Land, that's the name that I was. For
there's a number of people out there,
but I think he's the one that comes more quickly to my mind because I followed his stuff for the longest time, and I remember I think it was in one of the Wizard magazines where he showed his process, and he was doing this splash page, and like and he was showing all the little bits of tracing paper that he would put down to a panel or to do this splash page. And it's like, I don't think that there was like one thing on this page that he didn't like either trace or reference from reference. You know, and it was just like, and on one hand I was like really, really impressed with the amount of work, but at the same time I was like, dude, that's a lot of work. Just for one, you know.
I personally didn't think Greg Land's work was that great.
Right. Well, you see, but that's the thing though, because it's like he traced so much. I mean, and never mind the fact that I knew, you know, like I could recognize a lot of the places where he did trace his pieces. Was that you could tell when he wasn't using reference, and that was the worst part.
That's the thing is if you rely on rely on tracing too much, if you rely too much, too heavily on accurately reproducing the reference that you get, then when you do it yourself, when you actually have to dream up a position or a placement within the three-dimensional imaginary world you're creating for your comic book, then that stands out like a sore thumb.
It really did. It's like I was like, wow, I was surprised.
So for me personally, the way that he made the pages as a piece of art often look stunning, but I don't think that his panel progression was particularly good.
No,
and the reason for that is because he was always looking to trace a position rather than actually come up with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And comic book progression and visual storytelling from panel to panel work best when the artist has a library of items in their head, when they can draw from memory, even though reference is hugely important.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Okay. So that they can lay down a story and a progression and the dynamics, the gravity, the drama of a story visually, without having to reach for a predetermined piece of reference.
I think that Greg Land was trolling his editors doing
that. Greg Land. No, he wasn't.
No,
Greg Land traces porno for Pan.
Yeah, he did and that comes back to, like, you know, what Neil Adams said, that don't be fooled at all. Right. Any artist that says they don't trace is a liar.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay? Yeah. All of us, the best of us, like Neil Adams and John Buscema, will have traced to get a job done. There is no doubt about it. We all do it. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Or my opinion is that if you rely on it to tell stories, then your visual storytelling will not be as good. Simple as.
I think it was the great Wally Wood that had an expression that I can't even recall verbatim, but it was something like, if you don't draw from memory what you can't reference, don't reference what you can't trace, don't trace what you can't swipe. That kind of thing.
No, I follow. Wally
in order
Wood
to get
is like
the job done.
Fountain of information that I follow to this day. Yeah,
like,
don't reinvent the wheel.
No, and you shouldn't.
Yeah,
but at the same time, you have to be able. If you're telling a story, you should have that ability in there, to create the three-dimensional scene, see it from different places, and accurately portray the three-dimensionality of it within each panel.
For our radio audience, Russ Leach was pointing at his head.
Yeah, my head. That's all that's in there.
Not back at the TV behind him. Yeah.
So I don't, I'm not saying this to be mean to people,
right? Yeah.
But you need to be able to do that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with reference, nothing wrong with tracing along the way, nothing wrong with going out and getting 3D models and all kinds of stuff to get the job done. But the initial perspective, you must be able to do it. Otherwise, your storytelling will be stilted. So if you rely on 3D models of people, if you rely on photographic reference as far as tracing is concerned, then you'll never actually move through that world in a sort of an organic way. And the story will forever be stilted.
Yep. Empyrean Volt says, I love it when it mixes. For example, Milt Caniff's cartoon realism, realistic characters mixed with obviously cartooned. Jeff Smith's Bone and Cerebus did the same thing.
Great
and what's
stuff.
funny is that Mobius did the same thing too. When I was reading the Incal, and it's like it was at that moment that's like you could do that, where it's like he's just bringing in super cartoony elements, just to I guess get the story across. And I it was just one of those things where it's like, oh, I can do that. I can do that too.
Look at Mouse by Art Spiegelman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's all
Very
cartoony art, but it's super serious subject,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
which probably
Incredibly
makes it more
serious.
palatable
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
Yep.
So.
But I do the same on Only Death Can Save Us.
Shameless plug.
Use a lot of mice
Where,
and
Russ?
cats. Mice in concentration camps.
Yeah, mice. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for instance, Death's head is just a skull shape, but I produce emotion from that shape.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now those techniques to do that are very much basic animation techniques.
Yeah.
Raised eyebrows, smaller eyes, all kinds of things that you can do to create an impression of emotion. And you do that by using the simplest of formats.
Right, because that's this because this is the thing that I like. This that little toony skull head right there.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's actually the I think one of the best ones is actually the one that's on the Arrow logo on the book.
Oh yeah, no, that one's really good
one.
too. Yeah, that one. Yeah,
and that's just that's what I love about that whole Bronze Age comic book artwork is that they weren't afraid to kind of over exaggerate things.
Oh yeah,
where they needed to.
Yep.
I mean, if I just look at you can't because it's up there, but I've got whole walls full of reference material and the way that I want to draw.
Oh, but
it's all over the top. It's all just this crazy stuff. People with wide eyes and all kinds of, and yet the anatomy and the scene composition is just superb. So, and again, that point, that kind of refers back to what Varian was saying about what's realistic.
Well, you see, and that's the funny thing too, because also when they talk about realistic, they're not talking about books like this. They're not talking about.
Daphne is holding up a copy of Zenoic Tales.
Look at that.
Look at this.
Yeah.
They're not talking about this. That's the funny thing about it.
That's not.
It's like
who's the artist on that? That's not Paul Smith.
Mark Schultz.
Mark Schultz.
Yep. Yeah. It's like, because I bet you that if you show this to Varian's kid, he's not going to know what he's looking at. Because if he's calling Michael Turner realistic, then what's this? Then what's this?
That's damn near photography.
Yeah,
exactly. Sometimes it is. Yep.
And yet we all know that it isn't.
Yeah,
right.
We're all aware that it's exaggerated where it needs to be, and it's got flow and energy in it. That's the thing is that personally, I feel that if you go to a point where your comic book art is photographic, is photorealistic, then it loses all its energy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well just put photo. You might as well just do photo.
Yeah,
photo
I know,
comic. Well, my girlfriend is at the door.
My hand.
This is
Mike
why
Jimmy-
Doc Holliday always said, "Keep your back to a wall."
Yeah. Mike Jimmy says, "I'm somewhat expecting the person who walks behind Russ to go through the door to appear behind Daphne on the other side."
Yeah, no, really, it's like
That's funny.
it's funny when that happens. Yeah.
And the Ninja agrees.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening in, everybody.
There was an email once. Someone they did not know, they didn't understand that me and Lola were like literally in the same room. Stream, and they said it was really cool. You got up, and then someone like wearing almost the same colors as you walked past her. I'm like,
oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, that was the funniest thing. It's like you had gotten up. It was like you and Lola. You had gotten up, and then you showed up in Lola's camera, and it was like a Muppet Show. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. It's I try to do that occasionally. I throw stuff over at her sometimes too. Like,
Brian, here's one to put you on the spot. What's your favorite non-realistic cartoonist?
Oh wow! First person that pops in my head is probably CC Beck.
Oh yeah,
because I love that old Captain Marvel stuff, and I've been sitting here thinking while the discussion's been going on about like back in the 40s when Captain Marvel was outselling Superman, and the whole thought about a younger eye wanting that simpler artwork. I can remember growing up, my parents were trying to get me to read like Hot Stuff and Stumbo the Giant and Archie and stuff like that, as opposed to those violent Superman comics that I was so craving. And after looking at some of the more cartoony styles, when I was very, very young, still wasn't able to read, I would look at Wayne Boring's artwork, and I thought that was some sort of photography, because I couldn't imagine all those shadows, somebody actually taking the time to draw in all those shadows and everything. But, and probably wasn't until I was about 31, 32 that I realized it wasn't real. So, but no, there might be a reason why, especially with, comics back in the day trying to deliberately trying to attract a younger readership, that some of the more successful titles were like Archie, were like Captain Marvel, or even something like Plastic Man, where Russ makes a good point, that I've seen more realistic artists do Plastic Man and it doesn't work.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you need somebody like a Jack Cole or a Ramona Fradon who will, just let the rules go out the window and draw just something that has a lot of energy to it, just a lot of fun, something to draw your eye to it. So I can't imagine an Al Williamson Plastic Man for the life of me.
I always enjoyed Gil Kane. Did covers, I think, for when DC tried to resurrect Plastic Man.
Yeah,
a while back. Those seemed to work really well. But he
adopted a more cartoony style for those.
He did, and it's obvious he went back to Cole's material and said this is what he's supposed to look like, and that's what he did. So
half bad.
Guys, I have a special guest real quick. I'm sorry, he just popped in. One second, I'll put the headphones on him.
Is he back?
Okay.
Yeah. He's here to give his assessment of Dave Pilkey's artwork versus Dreaded Dinosaur. Say hello. Say hello.
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 Oh. Hello.
So you say you like Dave Pilkey's artwork, but you didn't. You said it needed more what?
It needed more detail.
Okay.
So is that what makes something like realistic to you? Is just more detail? Or is it a certain vibe? Does he?
And whose artwork do you like better than Dave's?
Eric's artwork.
You like Eric's artwork better. I see.
But do you consider Eric's artwork realistic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did Eric pay you to say that to me?
We're talking about Eric Hodson.
Right, of Dreaded Dinosaur Man. And what's funny is that, it's kind of weird because he's the definition of cartoony.
And I'm sitting here thinking the proper answer should be your art daddy.
Yeah, no, it's never.
Not in their household, no.
Yeah.
I don't think that works in anybody's household.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I get no respect around here. Yeah. That's okay.
So that's a really interesting distinction, because it's like what does real when people say realism or mean cartoony, it's like in the end it's like, are we all working from the same definition? And it's obvious we're not.
No.
That's true.
That has to do with just about anything in life.
Yeah.
Payouts.
Yeah.
Not to sound philosophical. But,
I'm pretty sure there's some payouts being involved in my soil.
Perception is everything.
Yeah. There's this documentary about Mondo posters, and they were talking, I forgot what it was called. And they were talking about how painted movie posters, how that fell out of favor in and being replaced with like photographic, giant heads and Photoshop posters and whatnot. It ends with a focus group where I don't remember if it was like a studio or something. I guess they were doing a re-release of a movie, and they got Mondo to do one of the posters. And they were in front of a focus group. They had the big head Photoshop poster, and they had a Mondo illustrated poster, and they were asking people, okay, when you look at these posters, what do you see? And I forgot what movie it was. Let's just, for example, say it was like a friggin' Dirty Harry movie. I mean, that's the type of movie that they were making the poster for. And people would seriously look at the illustrated, and if you're familiar with Mondo posters, you know that, how these things are super elaborate and super illustrated. And they're,
before you go on, what's your definition of a Mondo poster?
Well, it's from Mondo, mondotees.com. So that's the company that makes them. They own a movie theater chain in Texas.
Can you give an example of something we'd recognize right off the bat of a Mondo poster?
A Mondo poster. Where's my phone? Because I only have the latest one, a Mondo poster that I missed out on. Hold on. So, but they were looking at this illustration of, like, say, a Dirty Harry movie, and they were literally saying, oh, well, if we saw that poster, we would think it was a cartoon. Like it was like a Disney movie. And it's like, really, judging from the context of the imagery. Actually, let me look this up.
It's because people are spoon-fed these days. That's the trouble.
Yeah.
Nobody's required to use any imagination anymore, and so they don't.
Yeah, well, my wife and I drove by a movie theater yesterday, and she saw the one sheet in the window, and it wasn't a movie I was familiar with. And she's like, well, what kind of genre is it? I'm like, I don't even think I've heard of it. And she was trying to figure out the genre just from the one sheet, and she couldn't do it. She didn't know if it was horror or action, or she was fairly certain it wasn't comedy, so it's probably a slapstick movie.
Okay, so this is a search for Mondo posters. Like I said, Mondo is the company that they commission all these artists to do movie posters, illustrated movie posters. So these are the types of posters that they do. And so these are the type of posters that they were showing these people.
Very, very stylized, very image graphic oriented, composition oriented.
Right. Yeah. So that's their big thing. And it's like, and people would look at these posters. Okay, so here's, like, they would look at something like, okay, this is the thin red line. Right. And they would literally look at a poster like this and go, oh, is it a cartoon?
Really?
And it's like, what makes you think that this is a Disney movie? I mean, and that was their basis of comparison.
Wow.
And I look at that and I think it's more like horror.
Right. I mean, it's like, even if you're not familiar with the movie.
Right.
That would be horror or psychological.
Right. It's like they would, it's like they would, it's like, oh, is that a Disney movie? I mean, because it's a drawing, and I mean, it was the most infuriating part of the movie.
I looked at that and I'm like, that looks like Kubrick. Come out.
But again, you look at the way that is put together, and you can understand from an exec's perspective, do I get an artist to spend a day, 2 days, 3 days painting that because it looks so damn good from a distance? Or do I just get one of the juniors down in the PR department to put together a poster in Photoshop? And you can see why you can just see why they would do it purely from a money perspective.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Jesus.
So I would not have thought that was about a cartoon. Seeing that.
Yeah. So they do a lot. Yeah. So
he does a thin red line.
Yeah. So it's like, so they do a lot of limited edition posters and stuff. So it's like, but so the documentary is about this company, Mondo. but yeah, it's so that's what Mondo. So Mondo is an actual definition. It's a company. Yeah. So.
But I think if you were to see posters like that for independent film, people would still appreciate it.
Yeah. Criterion does that a lot for their movies. They hire illustrators to do their.
So there you go.
That
pretty much
films,
that pretty much says it all, doesn't it? Because you're looking at the kind of audience. So you're looking at mass market. Unfortunately, lowest common denominator, which seems to be entertainment at the moment. So they go for, they go for the movie poster that's photographic and, just quite bland.
Right.
And blatant, whereas something like an independent movie, which like indie comics is more about, they want the audience to appreciate it, and they know the kind of audience that they have. They know that they can reach that audience without being bland. They can do it via this particular way of doing things. I think it just comes down to horses and courses, unfortunately.
Criterion's tempo poster is wild.
Even the way they designed the DVD set when you open it. They're serious about that graphic design. Thank you.
we're so worried about offending people. I've seen a lot of videos lately where they talk about the same photographic poster having to be shifted when it's displayed in other countries in order to get rid of the so-called offensive races in that particular.
I mean, how crap country is that?
Well, there was one in particular for Last Jedi where they almost not Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, where they pretty much removed John Boyega from the poster.
Well, the most recent thing was that they were
for the Chinese audience.
The most recent thing is they were doing a thing where they got illustrators to illustrate what they felt about the films. And somebody illustrated one, and it had him in it, and Chewbacca and Old Han, and they basically got rid of those and just had Raylo in. And it was quite obvious what they'd done.
Right. Yeah.
And because it's despicable. It's just
My friend sent me a poster. He was stationed over in Korea. He had been in China for a while. He was sent over to Korea, but he sent me a movie poster in the mail, and a big tube came, and I'm like, oh, cool. He sent me something. And I open it up, and it's a Rush Hour poster, and it's a letter. It's a Post-it attached to it, and it said, "Varian, what the hell is wrong with this poster?" And I noticed it. I looked at it. Chris Tucker's not on it.
That's what I figured.
It's him. It's Jackie Chan and the young lady who was the villain who went out like a sucker in the movie. And it's like, what the hell?
You're just taking 50% of the film out.
Right. Yeah.
What are you doing?
But honestly, though, my favorite movie poster genre is when you go to like Czechoslovakia or parts of Africa where they don't even look at the movie. They just make these wild posters based on what they've heard of it. Yeah. And it's almost like what movie is this? They're just painting it straight onto the walls and stuff. Oh, it's a bird imitating a fire alarm, so don't worry about it.
Rustolian, that's not a fire alarm. That is Daphne's bird.
Yeah. I'm in my office now, which I'm sharing with a parrot. So yeah.
Because damn it, the parrot's got to work as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I'll say this too. We just talked about the wild posters they make. That have you even seen the movie? Comics can be accused of that, but especially like some of the Marvel or 90s Marvel books that were just no Wolverine or anything they possibly could to get that book to sell. But I noticed with a lot of the older comics, like some of the ones that Randy has displayed up there, you would see those scenes replicated in the comic.
Yeah.
Nowadays they have movie posters on the covers.
Yeah. I am so not into that. Oh, and by the way, really quickly, just to show you how old I am, Czechoslovakia does not exist as a country anymore. So, just put that out there.
I feel the same way about Prussia. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But I hate mood covers. I want my covers to reflect what's inside the comic.
But I also I personally like to see the interior artwork producers on the covers as well.
Yeah.
I don't mind seeing other people do covers. That's fine, but I do like it. And I was tempted to even put speech bubbles on the front of my covers.
Oh, going completely old school.
Yeah. So,
oh my God, I love
I
love speech bubbles.
That is obviously sort of like that's a more generic explanation of what's going on inside. But the covers for the trades.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, for the floppies. That's actually that's a scene inside the first book. That's a scene inside the second.
Yeah.
And I would buy those. I would buy those. Those are the kind of covers I like.
Yeah, like come and get it.
Yeah,
Those will be available in August and October.
Because really,
Liberty distribution. Yeah,
and I was
adding that text really added something to those covers.
Yeah.
Really
It
did.
did. I mean, I've got a whole bunch of them all over the place. Yeah, and just like seeing those covers with the text on, and there's something else I did put on, although I didn't put any speech bubbles on. I did put things like the arrival, and like the enter the horde, and that kind of stuff. And it's just you just want people to get an idea of what's really on the inside of that book. In a split second. So they know, there's stuff going on in there. It's not just going to be people talking to each other at a coffee shop.
Did you? I didn't know you did that. I thought that was Randy who did.
No, I did that.
No, everything's up to Russ on this. It's his book. So,
thank you.
Well, it's like
he sent the entire first issue in for me to make a print file from, and I'm like a kid in a candy store drooling all over the artwork.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's really good.
I had really good fun doing that. In the second issue, there'll be more of those kind of. What I wanted to do was like fact files that kind of underpinned the story. So the way that DC did those fact files back in the day, and I was working with Rick on this, and it's almost like the poems or the songs that get sung in the Lord of the Rings. They're incidental to the story, but they back up the world building. And that's what I'm trying to do with the extra stuff in the books. So
show the world. Empyrean says comic covers were best when you could actually have speech bubbles. Yes. And if you look at our backdrop here, we've got a cover of Not Brand Eck and a cover of Fat Man, the Human Flying Saucer down in each corner that have a speech
Young
bubble.
Romance and Spank the Monkey. There's a great example.
There you go. Yes.
My favorite.
But I really like. I understand variant covers. I understand that, but it's like when they turn the actual comic cover in like a mood cover, and it's the actual cover, and you have no idea what you're looking at.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I'm thinking of an old issue of the original Superboy back in the 60s. Beautiful Neil Adams cover, and it's a tight close-up of Superboy. Literally, he's lost his ability to fly, and there's panic on his face, and you see the ground rushing up. But you literally see the ground rushing up, below him, and then you turn it. But it happened in the story, even though you turn the page and it's George Papp, who was not exactly one of DC's high energy illustrators. He was the original artist on Green Arrow back in the day, and it wasn't bad art, but it wasn't Neil Adams.
Right.
But the thing is, that cover made you want to buy that comic, take it home, and read what the heck happened to Superboy.
And at least,
go ahead, Russ.
Sorry, and at least it reflected what was going on inside.
Exactly. And now I'm looking at a lot of these, and I'm not talking about the variant covers, which exist as a work of art. And generally, like a DC or Marvel, they're a virgin cover where you don't get the trade dress. But when you look at what goes on the regular cover, it looks to all I'm getting from a lot of contemporary comics is that this artist, whoever it is trying to sell his original art for that piece. And he's not trying to sell that comic book behind it.
Yes.
And nine times out of 10, they're probably going to rush off and be concept artists for movies or games. They're not interested in the craft of the comic book.
Sad but true.
Which is pretty much the industry in general. There seems to be a huge number of people in it that aren't there for the comics. It's a stepping stone of some sort.
We got the footprints on our backs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stolian says, "Enter the horde, enter the whore."
Oh, that's a different book.
Either way, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be doing my comic book adaptation of Two Girls, One Cup. Stay tuned.
There you go.
I know, Russ. I can barely sit through that thing.
Look, it's too early in the morning even for him for that.
You say you could barely sit through that a fourth time?
I know, it was rough, man. It was rough.
Usually it's me that brings us down to depravity. I'm very happy that it was Brian.
Well, we're giving you a break here.
I'm proud to take the burden off of you, Varian.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And once again, everybody, you're listening to an episode of the Sunday Funnies for May 9th, 2021.
And we're actually talking about comics.
Oh my God. Mark this down in your planners, people. You're listening to history here.
Turned over to other high art.
Yeah, I was called into kinds of practices.
Pop says on Mother's Day, Brian, really? What kind of cups? Anyway.
They were all sanitized beforehand, Pops. I did the reresearch.
You were saying, Varian?
I said I was caught in kinds of practices and yelled at. It's my own company, Now I know how what's his name? On CNN.
Wolf Blitzer
Turner.
Ted
Turner. And I know how Ted Turner felt. He had literally promoted people in positions that made them more powerful than he was at his own network.
Oh, that happens a lot. Yeah.
Varian, you won't have to worry about me becoming more powerful than you. Life has seen to that.
Mike Jimmy says you're talking about comics because I'm not there.
Oh.
Wait, everybody can change the subject. Mike Jimmy's in the room. Okay.
I've heard though, and I hang around a bunch of old fogies.
Oh,
and
thanks.
I wonder who they are.
Okay.
Do tell.
Yeah. I was
still
told.
referencing countries that dissolved like 20 years ago.
those are people from the country of Fog. Yes.
Yeah. Just the fact that you mentioned having a paper route ages.
Right.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. But I was told that the people today, the artists today, are less imaginative, less creative than the ones, from years prior, decades prior, because, it's like we've had, okay, this is what a comic is. This is what it looks like. Create it. Don't go outside of these parameters.
Right.
And I've dealt with that, when Randy's like, oh, we should do this new format. Let's do this, make the comic smaller. And I'm like, the hell are you talking about? Make it smaller. That's not comic book size. Hey, a comic has to go in this bag. Are you insane? If it's bigger than this, it won't fit in the bag. And then what are you going to do? And so I've dealt with that. And you wonder, it's not learning, it's programming.
Yes.
I've been programmed to believe, this is how a comic is supposed to look. I ran
Pavlov's comics.
Yeah.
So true.
Ring the bell and he reads.
It's got to fit that bag. It's got to be backed up by that board. It's got to fit into this slab. Yeah.
I read. I published a book.
Got to fit this long box. Yeah.
A strip that Randy used to run in his paper, and I published it, and I thought, what? I'm just gonna run it in this different format. I'm not gonna run it like standard comic, and I could have. So I took the whole project, broke it down to this little small book, and it looked weird on my shelf, but at the same time, it was something different. Yeah. It looked different, and it people would pick it up and they look at it and what's this? Yep. And it's like it's a comic book. It's newspaper strips, and they would look at it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And some people would buy it. Other ones would be like, I can't. They didn't know how to even handle it. Like, what is? Mm-hmm. This is a third of a book,
Yeah,
because it was, I think he did like 3 or 4 panel gags, so there was no need to do like a, We could have did a whole book and it would have been less pages, but we decided to do each gag had its own page. So the book was nice and, you know, robust for its size.
It was
pretty cool.
it was pretty much a comic cut in half.
Yeah.
Is what it was. One staple or two, maybe two staples on the spine, but only about half as high.
Yeah.
And just as wide.
I wouldn't recommend that for everything, but
like the old Garfield books.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of charm in that format.
Yeah.
I was playing around with doing comics like that because even with the bag and the board and all of the Pavlovian training, you could stack, if you use a stiff enough cover, you could stack one comic on top of another comic in one bag with one board. And it would be just as protected.
Well, I think this whole decline in imagination, I think is something that's media wide in general, as opposed to just comics.
Yep.
Because I remember a reviewer got paid to say this, how he was doing a review of, I guess like HBO did a adaptation of a YA book, Shadow and Bone or something. I don't remember the name. And this reviewer literally was talking about how they couldn't get into the book. But again, with the implication that made it a bad book because they couldn't figure it out, because they found it so difficult to read a YA book because it required them to learn a whole new world and a whole new like fantasy vocabulary that's specific to this world. And I'm reading this going, dude, you're literally complaining you couldn't handle reading a YA book. I mean, really? Does Dr. Seuss throw you off too?
Probably does.
And the thing is, this is what happens when I think where people literally get trained to only look at multi-billion-dollar conglomerates for their entertainment. Conglomerates that are going to crush and juice ideas into a fine gray paste that they could feed to anybody that requires the most minimum of digestion. So what happens is that people literally get lazy for their entertainment.
Yes.
You know, it's like the way people freaked out over Game of Thrones. These were people who couldn't handle subtext. These are people who are literally can't handle like the suspense of waiting for a next episode, and they're trying to make it sound like as if it's like some kind of flaw. It's like it's very bizarre how it literally is people are afraid to use their imaginations.
I ran across a spot on Facebook today, an article about Netflix saying that back in 2018 they actually had one person who watched the Lord of the Ring trilogy 300 times.
Well, good for them.
And I sat there and I went, oh, he just loved the movie. But the way that Netflix approached it was, we're worried about some of our audience. We caught this guy watching Lord of the Rings 300 times.
And mind you, was it the extended version?
Obviously, he didn't have anything he thought better to do.
It's none of their business.
Right. Exactly.
I wonder how many times he watched it in 2020 when he had to stay home.
They provide a product. It's none of their business what people do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got in trouble a couple of years ago for during Christmas. Someone they said for the 5 people who watch is a romantic comedy set around Christmas
I remember time, that. Yeah.
Who hurt you? And after I got a chuckle out of it, I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Even though they're dissing their own product, but you know what's funny is that you guys mentioned streaming networks.
Right.
We do have that type of data. IndieVolt TV. I can pull up. No, I can't pull up. Who you are.
Right.
But I can look up. Oh well, this IP, which is free information, access this file. And they watched it. And there are sometimes you can see some certain shows are very popular. Other ones not so much.
Pop says my precious.
But the thing is, though, it's like to say that it's not Netflix's business. I mean, that's exactly their business model. They're providing content to get your data. It's the data that's that's what they're working for,
Yeah.
not the actual, not the actual movies.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, because somebody watched Lord of the Rings 300 times is the reason why Amazon is spending almost $1 billion to create a new Lord of the Rings
Yes.
series.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's
yeah,
exactly
this
true.
is all.
Yep.
This is their business.
Yep.
But they, but you notice they won't tell us how many times something like they said over 300 times. They won't tell us their actual ratings on something, so we don't
Yeah.
know if a show.
Oh yeah,
is
no, that data they won't release.
Yeah.
Which is what also makes them frustrating because it's like, look, I'm still salty to this day that they canceled Marco Polo, and especially salty that they canceled Dark Crystal.
Mhm.
And what
Yes.
they say is that, well, the ratings were low. It's like, well, what does that mean? It's like what, that you weren't getting, that you weren't getting new subscribers for every episode. That has nothing to do with the show, but that's how they look at it. A show is not, this is not art that they're creating. This is literally content they're creating. The art may be on the people who are actually making the show. Because trust me, the Jim Henson Company knew they were creating art.
Yeah.
But for Netflix, it's content.
Yeah.
And content is just, again, the paste. It's like, does your paste bring in new subscribers with every episode? No, then it's no good to us. Then you're canceled.
Paste.
You are right.
Paste,
That's
yeah.
what they would eat on the Matrix. On the Nebuchadnezzar, it's like the tube, and that was the shit that they would eat.
Yeah.
Everything you need. You don't need anything else.
Right.
Just listen to us. Just watch our films. You don't
Right.
need anybody else.
Well, this is nothing new. I used to work in public broadcasting. And at one point when I was working in our local PBS station, Anne of Green Gables, the original TV series, was out. And it brought in pledges and new subscribers, to fund the service like no tomorrow. And then because because like many shows, many people invest in it. Yeah. So PBS had the exclusive for like about 3 years. Then it went to A&E. And they ran it for 2 years. And suddenly everybody, you don't have to pay $35, $60, $120 a year to make sure Anne of Green Gables comes on your TV. You just turn the switch on and pay your cable bill, and it's free. And all of a sudden the revenue from Anne of Green Gables plummeted.
Yeah.
And the management started treating, before Anne of Green Gables, oh, this is the best to which we can aspire. This is true capital A art. And then after A&E got it, it's like they started treating her like a crack whore.
Yeah.
We're obligated to run this piece of, and so that's sort of thing's been going on for decades. But it's just gotten more refined now with the multi-billion-dollar conglomerates.
Oh, and here's the thing too. Here's an example. So I had remember reading how it's a little related, but it adds it's about the paste. So I remember reading about how J.R.R. Tolkien actually had an argument with Walt Disney over how he felt that Disney was destroying mythology with his movies. Because now it's like everyone was associating Disney movies with these myths.
Right.
And and mind you, this was like pre-internet, pre-everything. And even Tolkien at the time was really, really concerned about the health of mythology, of global mythology, because of what Walt Disney was doing. So just the other day, so the thing is, so me being who I am, I decided that I had wanted to create my own Loki character because, screw it. It's like, I'm not going to stand Marvel's shit. I'm going to make my own and stand that,
God bless you.
So I created my own Loki character. Well, the other day I was looking for some Loki symbolism and whatnot to incorporate. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, that conversation, that interview that I read about Tolkien. Because every time I went to look for information about Loki, the actual Viking Norse myths, all I would get was Marvel nonsense.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like I had to really dig to get actual Viking, mythology for me to reference and to find the right imagery and the right symbolism that goes with Loki as a Norse
It's
God.
the same. It's the same with comics, because if you
Yeah.
look up Loki and Thor,
Yeah.
all you get is the Marvel Universe films.
Right.
You
Yeah.
don't even get the comics,
That's true too. That's and that's
let alone the
like,
source material.
it's like really, it's like meta. It's like they're destroying their own mythology in the meantime. You know, so it's like
They're supplanting the mythology. They want their mythology,
right? So it's like so I had to dig through all this Marvel shit just to get the actual mythology, and I was so frustrated by that. It's like, this is what Tolkien was talking about, and what's funny is that it's still Disney doing it.
Well, there's this resource, and a lot of people may not remember this. It's called the library.
Jake,
so you could ask someone, Dad.
Right? No, for real. It's like it's getting to the point where it's like, wait, I know some people from the region.
Yes, exactly. Gotta go to the source.
I'll tell you, a friend of mine, we're creating a comic. We must have been 18, 19 years old. Maybe we'd even reach our 20s at this point. But we're creating this comic, and we had this guy, and he created this guy who was a dick. We put the book out. I think we only made like maybe 25, 30 copies of it. But I've kept the character, and he's gonna show up in my book, The Begotten. But it's this guy. He's a shit. He's a total shit. And I realized what my friend had done. He's a gangbanger, and everyone but he's known to keep things like really quiet, and they call him low key, Lowkey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when I read it, I realized, I said, "You son of a bitch! You made Loki a black guy." And he's like, "Yeah, but his name is Low Key. Get it? Because he's hiding." And I'm like, "This is excellent." So I took the character. I took his mind now, and he's a gangbanger. His name is Low Key. Right. But you're right. Now it's all. I remember though. I remember when that worked opposite of Disney. My father told me, Daphne, he says, we're going to Alabama. And we go through Alabama. We're gonna come close. We're gonna go close to your. We're gonna go close to your grandfather's house. There's a statue called the Iron Man, and you can see it from over the expressway. You can see it. It's in the distance. When we get close, I'll show you. My little ass is expecting to see Tony Stark in flight,
right?
Like a gold Iron Man statue. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. I know Iron Man because I'm like 7, 8 years old.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
We get it. There it is. There it is. I look. I'm like, what is this guy pointing to the sky? What is that? This is garbage. That is not Tony Stark. It's not Iron Man.
But that's what it right. But that's what it is. You know, it's like
I got even more pissed as we got to it, and I got a chance to look at it. It's like, I'm like, well, why do they call it? Well, see, locals call it the Iron Man. It's actually the Vulcan. He doesn't have pointy ears either.
Right. Yeah. So your concept of everything is completely shaped by corporate media.
Yeah.
You know, and then the worst part is, again, going back to looking up stuff about Loki, is that the corporate version is so watered down from the craziness that's actual Norse mythology.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a shame. It's actually you're literally losing huge aspects of these characters because they don't fit the mold that corporations need these characters to fit in. And it's completely overlapping and overwhelming. You know, it's like, look up Little Mermaid. Just trying to find Hans Christian Andersen. You have to dig. You know, finding the original Beauty and the Beast, you have to dig. You have to know what you're looking for already. And there are kids growing up who have no idea that the Beast is not asking Belle to dinner. In the original story.
Yeah, you read the original stuff by Hans Christian Andersen or the Brothers Grimm, and Disney is determined to put a happy spin on the ending. A lot of those old stories are nothing I would read to a child.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that they were children's stories even originally because that was the point.
Yeah, my parents read to me, and look how I turned out. I'm a case study.
I told my kids.
Little Red Riding Hood is not about eating the grandmother.
Right? Yeah. I told my son about
grim for a reason, though.
Yeah.
About the Pied Piper, and he hasn't been right since.
You're right. know,
Chain to take you out the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Red Riding Hood wasn't
exactly.
chased
You
by
know,
the woodsman.
Sleeping Beauty, like you look up Sleeping Beauty, you know, I mean, it's like, and that's the thing, and I think that it's a shame that people are missing out on all these different aspects of of all these mythologies in exchange for the corporate gray stuff, which is not terrific.
Jake says Magnolia is way truer to Norse mythos than Marvel at this point.
You know.
Oh yeah. Well, Marvel left me with the Norse myths, you know, because Thor. I grew up loving the Lee Kirby Thor, and I remember going to my library and picking up a book on mythology and reading about Balder.
Yeah.
Who dies,
Right.
you know? And I had just read that backup tale where like everything rose up to save Balder from being, killed, and he's still an active member of the, supporting team of the book. And I'm like, this book can't be right. So I went and looked up I went through like half a dozen books. Wait a minute, they all say he died. What the hell? So that was the end of my childhood. Sorry.
For a minute, Balder almost became a little more popular than Thor in the book. I thought they were going to replace him. I don't know why they won't let Liam Hemsworth play him, unless they're waiting to get Liam when Chris passes up. They can get him on the cheap.
There you go.
Yeah, but Thor's supposed to be a redhead,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Marvel seen that.
Yeah, Kirby did draw an accurate Thor, but it was for DC about 5 years earlier. So in Tales of the Unexpected or something.
Yeah, because it's like, and then it's like when I was doing my research, it's like that's when I learned about how a lot of these mythologies and regions overlap.
Yeah,
like the Vikings and the Celts, all overlap. Because it's like it's just that entire region, and it's not. Yeah, it's like I thought. A redheaded Thor, really?
See, cultural appropriations have been happening for centuries.
Right? Yeah.
It's just like in the Western world. It's like, you damn pagans, you know your place. Wait a minute, what's this Halloween thing you've got going?
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Here, give that here. We'll show you how to do it right.
The thing is, can anybody picture Mike Jimmy as Thor? I mean, really? I mean, redheads. I don't know. I remember seeing there's a movie as Asylum did of Thor, and
it's a silent movie. It's either a silent or full moon. And...
Yeah. And I think they're so funny, but the little hammer he had and everything, I thought it was hysterical. I'm like, this is. I sat and watched it the entire movie, just laughing my butt off.
But the thing is, that's probably what
it was closer.
It was closer. Yeah. It's a hammer. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, but again, it's like we're so. I don't want to be hyperbolic by saying poisoned, but yeah, we're all poisoned by corporate definitions of everything, corporate definitions of culture.
Listen, I'll grow Indie Vault to its billion-dollar company, and then Daphne, you can come tell me, hey, what happened to you? You used to be an artist. You used to make art, and I can say, I still make things, Daphne.
Right
now, I make money.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an artist when it comes to search engine optimization. Yeah.
I'm not the person you thought I was. Turn around and walk away.
My voice starts sounding a lot like Vince McMahon's. I walk with that confident millionaire strut.
Yeah.
I'm a Paul Variant. I'd be a wonderful Thor.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would, Mike. Yes, you would. Yes.
Keep your mouth shut. I'll talk to you about that later, Mike. I'll wait till we're on Sugar and Sim show. I'll talk to you about your Thor.
I can do the beard, but I can't do the other stuff.
It sold my soul to low key.
Yeah, no, really. Yeah, exactly.
We're up all night to get Loki.
Yeah.
Randy.
Mike Jimmy says, I can dream.
Yeah, so everybody create your own mythology. Take the mythology back. Take it back.
Yeah,
Mike, I keep saying we're in the alternative and independent comics market. It's up to us to be the creatives, to stretch the imagination, the format, and everything that this art form is about. It's up to us to do that. That's I honestly consider it to be part of our job.
So, a job. I'm out.
Job. It's a job. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing. You got to look at people like Tolkien and see that people like Kirby were walking in his footsteps.
Yeah.
They were doing exactly the same things. They were creating environments where people could learn lessons, and understand their own place in the world without the realism, without the harshness.
Right. And Kirby was out there constantly creating new worlds. It was just second nature. After a while, it just got to be second nature with him. He's filling notebooks with stuff, and there was could be urban legend, but back when they were promising for him to do an Inhumans book forever for years, he sat there and filled notebooks full of old pantheon gods and characters that he could use, which he ended up using in New Gods and the Eternals. That all of that stuff is
when you get carried away with
just
something
imagination that he was brewing on for years.
I've been talking to Rick about where we're taking the next set of books, and we've already created another iteration of the universe and a battle that was going on prior to what you see in the current set of books for the next arc. And when you're allowed, you're only allowed to do that in indie books. You're only really allowed to let your imagination go in indie books because you're not crowded in and restricted by the other things that came before you. You're emboldened by them. You're informed by them. You're inspired by them, but you're not restricted by them.
Mike Jimmy says, "I'll make my own Thor in Life on Korra with blackjack and hookers."
Just
like the original. You bet.
Everything's better with blackjack.
Like yesterday.
Mike Jimmy does his own book, Life on Korra. You could look at that on, I believe it's Indiegogo or Kickstarter. One of the crowdfunding platforms has that up there. He does an amazing book. Life on Korra.
No, because yesterday I had posted up a sketch a doodle sketch that I did based on this Loki that I made, and it's like Marvel is never going to do a pseudo bestiality joke with their Loki. And the thing is, you have to know.
It's on Indiegogo. Mike Jimmy's
you have to know the mythology to understand the joke that I made in the in the cartoon yesterday. But that's the point. It sounds like one thing, but if you know the mythology, you get the punchline. Marvel would never.
Bob says Randy has to ruin it by making it work.
I don't know, Daphne. The minute these SJWs get around to trying to normalize bestiality, then they'll be like, you know what?
No, look, that's furry fandom. That's furry fandom, and they've been trying.
We're all there with the boobicorns. Boobicorns are the next thing.
Right, boobicorns are the next thing. Yeah.
Boobicorns, TM, Randy Zimmer.
Boobicorns, get the point.
Russ loves my boobicorns.
Coming soon from
title of
Shocker
a
Comics.
comic right there. For a sitcom.
Russ minds my boobicorns. How you doing tonight, Daphne? Oh, my boobicorns.
I'm drawing boobicorns for Russ.
My boobicorns have been giving me trouble all day. Recorded in front of a studio audience.
Yeah,
really.
Boobicorns and centaurs coming soon from Shocker Comics.
There we go. That's the next Arrow wave of books.
No, Krista can print those at Shocker Comics.
Oh, there you go.
Adult line, right up there with Captain Dildo. Yes.
There we go.
There's
Sugar's in the house finally. 20 minutes before we're supposed to go.
How you doing, Sugar? He wasn't feeling straight yesterday.
Hail everyone, hail Sugar.
How you feeling better, mate?
Thor is my favorite MS character. I was a Thor fan before I knew he was in comics.
Yeah, come on. It's like the way we all grew up on like Greek mythology. It's like, were you that kid?
And I get this,
that it's like we knew all the weirdo myths and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's why that Marvel stuff works so well, because we did know some of the classics. Mm-hmm. We did know, we were steeped in a world where you were still learning about Greek mythology, about the Roman gods, about the way things. When you got a history lesson,
well, a lot of that, a lot of that Silver and Bronze Age Marvel works because they go back on the old popular literary tropes. I mean, Hulk is Jekyll and Hyde, Thor as Thor, the angst and the so-called realism at the time that were brought in from Marvel are all based off of literary tropes.
Mhm.
I mean, and high literature.
And and that's the funny thing too. Back in the day, they depended on an actual educated population to understand their work.
Mhm.
I think that's why now they have to grind everything into that gray paste, because it's like, well, we don't want you thinking anymore.
Yep,
We
we're
don't
attracting a
want
new
you-
audience.
Yeah, we're attracting a new audience. Yeah, a dumber, less educated,
Lowest common denominator.
less, less literary,
Yeah, the same audience that when you post a word that they on Facebook that they don't know the definition of, they reply to you saying, "What does that word mean?" rather
Right.
than going to Google, typing that word
Yeah,
followed by the
yeah.
word definition.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh no. They'll look up if they wanted to know what twerking was. They'll look it up without a
Right.
problem. But
yeah.
it's like if you put up a word like, I don't know, ostentatious or something, then all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's violence.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a microaggression. You're making me type this out.
Right,
I've probably.
Pop says Daphne. Mike drops again.
Oh well, it's
Jake says shit's too referential and not enough intertextual.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. I'm just going to go Google and look that up.
Yeah.
There's something for you to Google, kids.
Yeah.
Luke pointed out that he said, he noticed when I get upset, he says that my vocabulary increases. I started using really, really big words. And I told him, I said, I think that's because of all the private school I went to.
That's a thing. That's a thing, because it's like when I get like I can just casually talk and like every other word would be the F word, but the second I get mad, it's like it cleans up really fast.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Dad!
And I used to be disgusted, and I try to be amused. So that's for all you Elvis Costello fans out there.
I don't know why that happens, especially when I'm from writing. Oh, the words just come out. And I'm like, I mean, the wife is she's looking like, are you typing? You're mad, aren't you? Like, yes. She's like, using the $5 words? Yes.
Yeah. The $10 words.
Yeah. I don't
Jimmy says
look it up.
Yep. If you get someone beyond the point, they stop swearing, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Awkward pause. Feel it.
Awkward pause.
It's death passing by. That's I just don't remember. I just don't remember the phrase in Portuguese, but that's what that usually in Brazil we would say that it's like whenever you had an awkward pause, it means it was death passing by.
How dare you?
Well,
there you
go. Hashtag always promote.
I think that promoting comics now has kind of fallen by the wayside. We're going to be talking today a bit about.
Who says that?
Oh yeah,
Who says that?
If they don't put it on Facebook or whatnot. We're talking today about some of those things on special issues, and it's going to be a good time. I can't wait.
It's constant. Well, I mean, I don't understand the phrase though, because I mean, if anything, promoting comics is constant.
Well, yeah, but see, a lot of these people, they don't do it. They will not. They'll promote to their Twitter, their Facebook, their Instagram. Outside of that, like they won't do it. And then you still got people who are still fighting. You still got people who are fighting against streaming, which I can appreciate them. But at the same time, like, you might as well listen. Everyone's doing it. Here's your drugs.
I mean, it's like I said, I have a first issue and a second issue campaign to compare to, to compare to each other. I mean, really, the streaming and being on shows and the constant grind of, that's real. That has a real effect. I don't think I would have funded in 3 hours if I didn't do that live stream, if I didn't do a launch party.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't think that would have happened, because I think that doing a launch party just made everybody excited to see it fund on air.
Yeah.
So I don't think that would have happened. And it's
But
like,
we're becoming entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
That's the thing. You have to be everything. You have to. I mean, all I ever want to do is sit in my dungeon and draw comic book pages,
absolutely. That's all of us. Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't do it. You've got to, if you want to make a success, if you really want, and I'm not even just talking about monetarily, I'm talking about if you want your ideas to get out there and touch other people, if you want to entertain and talk to people via your stories, you've got to let them know that they're there.
Yeah. And that's such a huge evolution when you sit back and look at how comics were done 5, 6, 7 years ago. Where you had people who worked in the mainstream that you never saw. Well, there's still artists out there. I have no idea what they look like.
But the discussion
but now we're all out there in front of everybody.
Yeah. The discussion 10, 15 years ago was, how is new technology, how are comics going to become what they're going to become via new technology? Nobody expected that the new technology would not be PDFs and Comixology. It would be this.
Yeah.
So honestly,
not for nothing. I fought it for the longest time too. I fought it for the longest time because I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, that's true. And there's still people out there now that are too shy to come up on camera. But seriously, Russ, in comics, the actual discussion was, what circled template did you use for that girl? 10, 15 years ago. That's what the discussion. But we're becoming more not just socially aware, but the outside world is becoming more aware of us and the art form because of these podcasts. And it's so important to get up there and get out there and to keep pushing and to tell everybody, hey, everybody, we see that there's 14 people watching us and there's only 3 likes. Maybe you should be hitting that like button if you can, because it helps us on the YouTube ratings. Make sure, if you can, go over to Indie Volt channel on YouTube and subscribe, because we need those numbers to come up. We've got the viewing hours that are popping in, but we need those numbers to come up because we want to be monetized so that we actually have to watch our content and be worried about copyright strikes and all of this stuff. So please, folks, hit that like button.
Right. And we're actually only 3 of us up there now. Yes. This is not a hypothetical.
No, not a hypothetical. Please go over there. Subscribe on YouTube. Even if you're listening to us on the radio, keep listening to us on the radio and tell your friends. Absolutely. But please go over to YouTube and hit those buttons, because there's going to come a time here within the next couple of weeks that we're going to pass 100,000 viewers or listeners on that radio. And when that does, Varian has to pay more money for streaming, and we don't want to have to do a podathon.
There we go.
In order to afford it. And please, hit that like button and get up there. Right, Varian?
Yes,
of course.
And at the same time, all of us here have our individual channels too. So it's like, so there we go. So we all have our individual channels, and we would all appreciate it if you head on over to our own channels through our websites and supported us individually as well.
Please do. And you'll hear more about that here in just a second as we tell as we tell folks how that they can find us.
I told Randy we should rename this show Aspies Assemble.
Yeah, well,
that's not what you said. You said we should rename the show Geeks and Geezers.
Well, yeah, that too.
I'm a geek. Yeah, that's right. I fit the demographic. Yeah.
I almost qualify for an AARP membership.
And folks, not only am I a publisher and I give a lot of promotional advice, but I also can advise you on Medicaid now. I am now an expert in Medicaid, so.
That's that you always want to go for the C or D plan, right?
Exactly. Right, yes.
Okay.
Or marry somebody with a better plan than what the government offers. So.
Yes. So you're listening to the Sunday Funny, folks. We deeply appreciate you being here. Even if we are, this conversation always strays so much.
To go almost the entire show talking about comics, so it's an improvement.
I think we did good. I think we're proud of ourselves.
We'll be discussing more comics. Some of us will on JD's podcast. One of these days, we're going to do a Sunday Funnies like that, where we have an actual set of questions that people answer. If I ever have time to prep for this show, it'll be a small miracle. But
prep. That only happens in restaurants, dude.
Well, you never prep for your show. You're always talking on the off of the chats. So yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's always good. Yeah.
Because I only look stupid.
Fight!
I know what I'm doing, damn it.
The time actually spent on comics is a new record, I think.
Yeah,
we talk plenty about.
No,
comics,
we've talked all comics on this show before.
And it was all me.
Oh, you.
I didn't mention one thing that was horrible.
Right,
that was my job this week.
Yeah, it was right. Yeah.
Pops is currently being nice enough to throw all of our links in the chat.
Wonderful. Yeah.
We deeply appreciate you, Pops, for doing that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And we are kind of winging our way towards the top of the hour. So, Russ, tell folks where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. You can find me at russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com. You can find out more about my book, Only Death Can Save Us, at onlydeathcansavus.com. You can find me on the Twitter, on the Fleecebook, hang out online. I'm around. You can find me on a Thursday morning in the States with Joe Fulton on Fulton Land. That's his channel. We stream there. Last week we spoke to Peter Smetty, so we had some interesting conversations about comics there. And if I get my backside together, you'll be able to see me on a Monday afternoon or evening where I'll be live streaming art demos.
And we see now that you have a Silver Grail collection up above on your cabinet.
That's up there. Yeah, they're the nicest. I've got a box of trophies up in the loft that I don't bring down.
Choose wisely.
They're
Choose wisely.
They're karate trophies. So there you go. I did for my sins. I did actually compete and won some stuff. So there you go.
For your sins.
Yeah. I hit a lot of people.
And Russ is a legitimate fighter because, normally I could tell a non-legitimate fighter because they're like, yeah, I have to go register with the state because my hands could kill someone. I'm like, my hands could kill someone, idiot. What are you talking about? But that's how you can tell. Like, where's your trophies? I don't have any. I entered the Kumite.
Brian, tell folks how they can find you.
All right, I'd be glad to. First of all, you can find me on Amazon, where we do a whole bunch of comic and pulp-related items. Thank you very much. And also on YouTube, where I am 4 subscriptions away from hitting 500.
Yay!
Thank you very much. I'm very happy with that. I don't know how it happened, but anyway, we do broadcasting ourselves 3 mornings a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Never mind the furthermore, interactive creative conversation coffee. Tuesday night, we have Clever Tile Pending, where we talk to creatives about creativity and the business behind it. This Tuesday, we have Ted Davies, and Wednesday night, we have a special episode with Bobby Nash, where we talk about my brand new release, Snow Ambition, part of the Snow Shorts series. And on Thursday nights, we actually talk comic books on Comic Book Spectrum with myself, Eric Hawkins, Clyde Hall, and Brian Rodman, where I am actually forced to do prep by actually reading comic books. It's a hell of a job, but someone must do it.
The horror, the terror. Yes.
I know. Yes. And yes, the terror. Wait till that comes out. I'll talk about that more when that comes out. I'm excited.
I was really impressed with your animated graphics there for the advertising. That was great.
Thank you. We pride ourselves on our cutting edge technology around here.
The CGI of you holding those up was stunning. I mean,
thank you very much. I appreciate that.
There was no uncanny valley at all. You looked absolutely like you. It was brilliant.
I know, and that's the kind of thing we do around here.
You didn't even hear that mic hit the floor, folks. Didn't even. There you are. Daphne, tell folks how they can find you.
Well, so it just really a quick thing right here. So these are all my medals that I won for running away from Russ. Right. So you can also find you can go to my main portfolio site, egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find all my links to my social media and galleries. I mostly post on Facebook, where you can find me retooling the Loki mythology for your pleasure. And you can also find me on Twitter if you want to see me act up a little bit, but mostly I'm on Facebook. I recommend Facebook. You can also find links to my current Kickstarter, Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn. Like I said, funding on that Kickstarter right now. Again, thank you everybody for the support and the love that you're giving my books. And you can also find a link to my other comic if you prefer your fantasy to be less drama oriented and more running, skipping, jumping, climbing, Mount Doom type, where you can go to talltalesonline.com, TAILS, where you can read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free. And don't forget to sign up. And so when the next Kickstarter comes out, you'll know when that's available too. So again, everything you can find at egoworks.com.
Fantastic. Mr. Varian?
Yeah. Now, should I show the video? What I'm doing today, or should I show the? I'll talk about it a bit. So today I'm on Indie Vault Special Issues.
There you go.
Today.
Ooh, very nice, very nice.
Yeah. Got Indie Vault Special Issues coming up at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're talking about a couple things. Should I just run the video?
Yeah,
just run the video.
It's your show. In the end, it's your network.
Here we go.
Yeah,
All right, here we go.
Wow,
That's right.
Wow.
I was
Wow.
expecting Wolf Blitzer to come out.
I thought I was watching
Today.
Sky News.
I don't dare show up. I'll bring it down.
I was gonna say congratulations on your lack of sleep, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall asleep doing the show.
Now we know why your camera's not on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I look horrible. I look horrible. There's pizza boxes around me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who drank all this pop, but
The sheer landmarks of productivity.
Yeah.
someone's drank 7 cans of Pepsi. I don't know who, but yeah, we'll talk about that. So we got the crowdfunding conundrum, or we're going to talk to people and figure out if we think that publishers and creators becoming a little bit too reliant on crowdfunding. People are calling for creators to unionize.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, we're talking about
Yeah.
that.
The Graphics Artists Guild has been trying to do that for decades. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't pay no dues.
You can't get them to agree on where to go to lunch.
Yeah.
Kidding?
Yeah.
And the third thing we're talking about is the overly sexualized characters in comics right now. Because not only did J. Campbell get in trouble, they use that to open the floodgates on a few other people.
Oh,
so
yeah,
we're talking
of
about
course.
that.
Well, of course,
Because
you can't,
attention whores will attention whore.
Yeah,
you can't draw boobs on a woman. That's over sexualization.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
The
Yeah, don't
presence
laugh.
of boobs.
That's part of what they're arguing, and
Yeah.
that I find more offensive than any sexualized image from Jay Scott or anybody. Than,
She's got boobs. She has boobs.
No.
Damn you.
Look
Damn
at
you,
the
Russ.
boobs.
You're part of the problem, Russ.
Like, and these guys,
I'll be more than happy to be part
boobs.
of that problem.
yeah, and
There we
like
go.
muscles. These guys got muscles, big muscles.
Oh,
Good
no.
Lord,
And I
what is
demand
wrong
over
with people?
sexualization in my comics.
I demand
you know?
it. Yes,
I
I want
I feel
it
I'm
now.
cheated if I don't get it.
People really need to grow up.
No, they really do. They really do.
So that's what you guys will find me at today, 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Indie Vault.
Actually,
Yeah.
it's not growing up as much as acknowledging the fact that we are in a art form that thrives and is at the forefront of fantasy, and that
Art form.
especially fantasy imagery.
Right.
Yeah, it's art. It's art.
Yes.
It's about
Right.
expression.
Also,
doing different things.
let
you know?
people be horny.
Yeah,
You know,
they
let
wanna
people
be,
be horny.
you know?
Good grief.
Yeah.
You know,
If it weren't for my parents being horny, I wouldn't be here today.
Exactly. Yes. I just yes.
You know?
And I say that to my kids, and they can't stand it. Shut up, Dad.
That'd be weird.
Yeah.
That's weirded me out.
At this point, we need to remind folks you're listening to another episode of Sunday Funnies for the 9th of May,
Hey,
2021.
we made everybody laugh. Come on, it's funny.
Varian, no, I wasn't saying anything bad about that. Varian, what's our radio number as we go out?
65,
65,
702.
Yeah, what's our country of choice this morning?
Pakistan.
Oh,
Pakistan.
Hey guys,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
It's just about 7 o'clock there, I believe.
Wow.
PM.
Yeah.
cool.
On a Monday for them, I believe.
We
It's Monday,
appreciate all of you listening. Make sure you tell your friends. This is where you can come to get some spirited comic discussion most of the time.
Get on and subscribe to the channel. That will help.
Yes.
so much. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That will help.
It's like,
Indie Vault.
The majority of our programs center around the 9s Eastern Standard Time, either 9 a.m., 9 p.m. Indie Volt Radio does replay some of the shows, right? Every once in a while.
Yep.
All the time. Special Issues is coming up at 2:30 today, Eastern Time.
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock today,
special
Eastern time.
Yeah.
So adjust your calendars and alarms accordingly. So let's not forget Liberty Entertainment Distribution, publishers, and retailers. Take a look at www.ledg.us. You're going to want to sign up for that service as soon as possible. This is a unique distribution system, especially for retailers, because you are ordering books that are already on hand. You don't have to order books 3 months in advance. These books listed are in the warehouse and ready to be thrown into a safe, secure box and sent to you in the best way possible by fans for you in order to help you get an alternative and independent comics product onto your shelves and to your customers. We want to help you make money with our products, and that is the way to go with Liberty. Liberty Entertainment Distributors, make sure you look for those. We also want to point out the Indie Volt Awards that are coming up on September 18th. This is an open judged event. It's not a popularity contest. There is one category that's open for fans to vote on. But other than that, this is going to be a judged event by a panel of a half a dozen judges looking at products that are submitted for approval. And there is a small submission fee that does go to Autism Speaks, but we ask for that fee in order to acquire serious books for consideration. And we already have quite a big number of entrants already into a number of different categories. The fee isn't that expensive. Did it just go up?
It went up on April 30th, $1 whole.
$1 whole, folks.
Here's a question about the awards. About that fee. Is that, do you have to be the creator to nominate a book and pay?
No. We had some people come through actually and nominate. One person came through and nominated 3 different books. So I had to reach out to those creators. He only nominated them in one category a piece, but we appreciated that, and so we reached out to those creators, let them know.
And again, those admission fees go to Autism Speaks, but there is a criteria to submit books. There's a time frame that the book needed to be released. Is that right?
That's right. Because we were planning on doing the event in 2020, and we had to cancel because pandemic. We decided to look at books from 2019, 2020, so you can submit any of those titles as long as it was released in that time frame. And also make sure you get in there because it's going to go up again in a couple weeks, and it won't be a whole dollar. I think it goes up $4 at that point to submit. But we've been getting a lot of submissions. Really excited about it. Also, the Hall of Fame ceremony. We're not going to play the video, but
we don't have the video on that. We have the regular awards video here though that we can show.
Yeah, and then,
go ahead.
And then this Tuesday we'll be announcing another entrant into the Indie Volt Indie Comic Book Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, yeah.
Who has to come on up and get their ring.
This might give you a better idea what the awards are about. I'm going to run the commercial. Hang on, folks. That's for more information. You can go to indievoltawards.com. And once again, this is a judged event. This isn't. This is the award show is really intended to elevate the art form, the fact that there are great alternative and independent comics out there for everyone to enjoy. And this is going to be a broadcast live event from Dave and Buster's. It should be about 2 hours, unless entrants get long-winded. We'll probably have some music to play them off.
That's right. Here, I'll play this video real quickly. It's not that long. Here.
Okay. Oh no, you don't have to play this. Oh, and now you're laughing fiendishly. So
that's right. That's right.
You're making.
Well, we only play it for one more week, one more day. And then we'll move on to the. We'll move on to the next important person.
Still without the space. Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm lazy.
It's my concerned look there.
There he is.
God goes wild.
Class Fang recipient 2021. Dave and Buster's in Michigan. Actually, he's going to be at the Utica, Michigan. Dave and Buster's. Some people with Utica they think it mean New York, but no, he meant Michigan. September 18th. Randy looks like a pro wrestler in that promo video. Yeah, he does. He does.
People say I look like Goldberg. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. No relation.
Oh yeah.
Come on, brother. We can do it.
So we're so that'll be September 18th, 2021. And really looking forward to that too. Now it's creeping up on me faster than I thought, but got a lot of good sponsors involved. Mixum, StreamYard, Blick Art Material, so many more coming on who want to be a part of the event. So we're looking forward to doing it.
Yep. Stolian says, I've subscribed to everyone here. Thanks,
Dave.
Thank
you.
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Cool.
Thank you.
Blast. Randy looks like Mike the Enforcer from Breaking Bad. Says Randy looks like a pro wrestler in that promotional video. Yeah. Congrats, Randy. Thank you so much. Never mind. I'll save it for my acceptance speech.
You can high five your mom too today.
Yeah.
There you go.
Moms get all the hugs and the high fives.
Yeah,
there we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hug your mom and high five your day. Happy Mother's Day. Yeah. I got a.
Yep. Very happy Mother's Day. On our way out the door, we want to remind everybody of the Indiegogo of Indie Volt, the sequential art collection. We are at 2,200 with only 58 backers. We have another. 17 backers, and we add more pages to the book. So come on, folks, get in there. Also, the offer for the retailer package, the retailer tier, still stands. The next retailer that comes in and buys a retailer tier that I see has their own shop, please do it in your shop name so I know, will get mailed to you from me the first 2 months worth, 2 copies of each book of every Arrow product that we're doing for you to sell in your store as a gift from me for being part of the retail tier and being part of this campaign. So deeply appreciate everybody there. Also want to point out there is another add-on as you go out the door to help me clean out my basement, where I will send you 5 more copies of books that I have had a part in over the years. I'll even sign those books for you just to get them out of my basement to help make my wife happy. So don't forget
stuff.
that as well.
And
it's all classic. It's all classic. Don't call it an antique. Just call it good reading, please.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So on our way out, I want to tell you I've been your host. You've been listening to another episode of Sunday Funnies for the 9th of May, 2021. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. You can find me on Facebook under Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Twitter under Randy Zimm. You can please look at the Facebook page and the YouTube channel for Arrow Comics 4.0 for announcements on books that we have planned to come out in August. There's more books planned to come out in September. titles that I'm even just extremely excited about that I want to tell you about. I'm just not going to do that yet until we're a little farther along, and we have some really impressive artwork to show you already on those. But there's a lot of stuff happening, a lot going on. HeroBot 1 is about done. This person will be pretty prominent as we go along. Here's HeroBot 2 cover. That'll be available in October.
I love it. I love it.
Just Scott Rosemont, just amazing stuff. Yeah, a lot of fun. It's going to be a crazy good character. Don't forget Indie Vote Revolt. Like I said, pop over there and take a look. Only Death Can Save Us is coming. Hybrids is coming from Arrow Comics by Luke Stone. Only Death Can Save Us, serialized by Russ Leach. Serialized in 32-page books. Looking forward to all of that beginning in August. And all of that material are available for retailers at a fantastic wholesale price from Liberty distributors. As soon as they're printed and available and in-house, Liberty will be letting everybody know that they are available for you to purchase and to put into your stores. So I think that's it. Is that it? I think that's everything. We wish you all a happy Mother's Day. Did we forget anything, Varian?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Any last words, anybody? We're going to go out the same way we came in.
Just buy independent comics, especially ours.
Please, as I believe it's Varian has said before in the past, please leave this art form better than the way that you found it. So please. We appreciate you all. Take care. We'll be back next Sunday for another episode of Sunday Funnies. You'll catch Varian and myself on Tuesday nights on the Livewire program, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. Varian, myself, and Daphne will be back at Thursday morning for the Breakfast Buzz. There's also Geekgasm that is on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. It Came From Webtoons with host Eric Hodson on Monday nights at 9 p.m. talking about the great digital comics that you can find online. And the special issues later today, and Pitches Be Crazy with Brandon as your host. That is on Saturday at 2:30.
That's right. That's right.
That's the 2:30 Eastern Standard.
The world's only crowdfunding variety show.
That's right.
It's always a lot of fun.
But yesterday was a cackle fest.
It
was so much laughing yesterday. It was couldn't get a word in because they were laughing. I wasn't on the show, but I could hear it.
Yeah. Cool. All right, everyone, take care. Stay healthy. See you soon.
Ciao.
Take care.
Accomplished. Do you draw the Flintstones naked?